Hey everyone, this is Mike Andes. You're listening to the Business Bootcamp podcast. Today we're listening to the second part of my conversation with Dion, which is a service-based business doing landscaping. And if you want to learn how to start, grow, or save your service-based business, whether it be cleaning, landscaping, I don't care if you're construction or plumbing or electrical or floral design, whatever it is, if you're a service-based business, I want to hear from you. I want to help you. Email me at businessbootcamppodcast@gmail.com. We'll set up a time to make a call, and one, two, or three of those I will put on the podcast in the next couple weeks. So make sure you do that. Now, today we do have another sponsor, Gusto, and I know so many of you have emailed me about what it's done for you and have appreciated their software and had really never heard of it. So many of you have emailed me, and I really do appreciate the feedback. Gusto has been a great supporter of the podcast, and they're offering the podcast listeners here only. You can't get this on their regular website. Like usually they give like a 30-day trial. They're giving just the podcast listeners of this show a free 90-day trial, 3 months. So an entire quarter, you can try out their payroll services. They're going to do direct deposit for your employees. You can print the checks right off if you wanted. Like if you didn't want to have to wait for a couple of days while the clearinghouse goes to the money goes to the accounts of your employees. You can do benefits on here. All your HR is wrapped up into this thing. You're able to do health benefits and retirement plans and really be able to retain your employees by adding those extra incentives. Gusto is you're really an all-encompassing kind of package for everything from paying your employees to them allowing them to remotely ask for time off for vacation and coordinating all of that. And I promise you, the $39 a month they charge is absolutely a great steal of a deal. It's cheaper than any bookkeeper, any a tax accountant, or someone that's going to run your payroll. I promise you, it's cheaper than even like QuickBooks is much more expensive. Their payroll system is like $79 a month. I highly recommend you check out gusto.com/bootcamp. You have to put the /bootcamp in to get the 90-day free trial. So put it in there. You can try it out. That's like over $120 worth of value, and it's incredible. I promise you it will change your business. Now, let's get on today with today's show. Second part of my conversation with Dion. We're just going to continue right on from where we left off. And so here we go.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. I've been listening to some of the podcasts. I know you're talking about one of my biggest mysteries is, like you teach about is getting myself, the steps to getting myself out of the field and hiring people.
Yeah.
And I don't want to kind of have you beating a dead horse here, because like I said, I've listened to several of the podcasts where you talk about training systems and you talk about the employee, what am I trying to say?
Like the training part.
Yeah, the training part, and then the application. Now, the application part I do have that on the website where they can fill out the standard application.
Gotcha, yeah.
But the other parts, those are some things I've taken notes on as far as listening to the podcast, doing the orientation, and doing the interviewing. It's funny because I listened to your podcast and you called out one of the exact issues that we've been facing with just trying guys out and seeing if they work and just throwing them in the truck. And that obviously hasn't worked for us here lately. I'm
just thinking here. So right now your main thing, it sounds like, is really trying to find some good people, right?
Right.
One thing I don't talk about a lot, and Dion, I don't think I've ever mentioned on the podcast, is one thing about employing people, especially if you're trying to get good people are attracted to good companies. And they're attracted to companies, like if you want a good person that's going to be forward thinking, like they're not going to be a loser. They're going to be someone that's really good. And if someone's really good quality, it means that there's a good chance they can get job offers somewhere else. So what you have to prove to them is that you're better. You have more opportunity for them. It's going to be better for them if they stay with you. So one thing I don't talk a lot about is get your business right. And then for some reason, employees start coming to you. And so I've found that like really true in the past few months, where like we have people lined up now to work for us, even though we aren't marketing it like for a job fair. And we have people like giving applications come because they're like, man, this company is growing. They've grown a whole lot in the past couple of years. They got another location. They see all our guys in uniform and the work we do. They see all our videos. And suddenly, all of a sudden, people are coming to us. And so what I would say, and this is goes for everyone when you're a 1, 2, 3 man band for like landscaping, is that you got to motivate your employees to be like, hey, we're gonna grow beyond this, because they don't want to be a part of that small tiny little business that just kicks around and isn't professional. So like getting logos on your truck, like that's a sort of like that's a pride thing for your employees. It's also a sense of security that like, hey, like I'm working for a brand, not some dude that just mows lawns, right? Like, so part of getting great people is creating a great business that they can believe in and know they have a future with. Like if they just see, 1 year you got 84 clients and next year you have like 80, the next year you have like 90, the next year you have like 82, like they don't see that growth. They don't see other employees joining. They start getting worried and they will jump ship. Now, if they see 4 guys 1 year and the next year there's 10 and next year there's 12, or at least like their pay is going up and they're getting more responsibilities. Like right now, it's not like you can give someone a whole lot of responsibility that you can't give them a management position. So hiring, it's very difficult. I'm not discounting the fact it's hard when you're that first, second, third employee is tough because you don't have a whole lot to offer them besides the dream of what the company is going to be. And so that's what I'd be pitching. Right now, it's like, hey, I know I'm small. Like, don't try to sugarcoat it. Don't try to say like, hey, like we're a great company. Just be like, hey, I know we're small. This is where we're going. This is where we want to be in 5 years. If you want to join us for this journey, you're going to have a great ride and I want to do everything I can. I'm going to be 100% on your team. I will support you 100%. And you got to sell them on the dream. Like, honestly, that's all you got when you're one man, a couple trucks, like, and then you'll see it. You'll switch. And that's when you have 5, 6 trucks. They're all logoed. You got 6 to 10 guys working for you. All of a sudden, their friends, their family suddenly want to start working for you because they see a company that's growing, a place where they can grow with the company. And whether that be their pay, whether that just be the pride of him saying like they can work for this, they work for this big landscaping company in town, and they're the manager, and they can point out the rock wall that they built at so and so's house, and over on the corner they mow their lawn. Like there's a sense of pride in that, and so I'd focus on creating great business, and then the employees for some reason, man, they follow. Now that being said, those first couple guys, you got to sell them on the dream.
Yeah, I know it. I know exactly what you're talking about. Because it's funny you say that. Like I said early in the year, I had a full 3-man crew. I had 3 guys, and that's when we were doing a lot. I was doing a lot more of the Facebook Live videos of the crews out in the field on the trucks and pulling mowers off, and everything was bounce rocking and shaking smoothly. And for some reason, like you said, around that time, I remember vividly. I got 7 applications. Mm-hmm. I didn't advertise that we were hiring. I didn't post that we needed more guys. I would just post videos of the guys out in the field in their uniforms, and they're on the lawnmower with their headphones on and they're cutting. And like you said, I would just, I'd be working, and 7 applications just came in sporadically over, a 2-month span. Mm-hmm. Of people just wanting an opportunity to work with us. So I definitely agree with you there, and I definitely understand what you're saying. So we'll definitely work on getting back up to that level there.
I think next spring is probably when you'll have to make the big push for that, because it's tough right now when you don't have a massive business to keep someone throughout the winter, right? So like I'd kind of hold off on obviously you still try to upsell people so you can stay busy in the winter and stuff like that, but I'd say next spring is when like I think you should do a career fair, because if you have 7 applications, one way to like, where did you meet those people when you did a interview at your house?
Yeah, well, it'll be at the lot where we store the trailer and the truck.
Yep.
So we just meet them there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I know you've heard, I'm sure, like the career fair thing that we did, and that if you have 7 people, I bet if you put it on Craigslist for a couple months, offered food that night, I bet you get 15. 10 of those people show up, 8 of them are bad, 2 of them are all-stars, and you hire them for the whole year. And the reason the all-stars are going to actually go with you and not someone else is because they're like, wow, they show up to this career fair. There's a bunch of other people. You make it fun. You make it exciting. You sell everyone there on the dream. You go over the dream, what the company's going to be, where you're going this year, where they're going to fit into the whole dream. And then the all-stars are going to be attracted because, hey, there's 10 other people here. This is competitive. People want to work here. This is a place I can grow. This is a good company. And so that's I'd recommend doing that next spring for sure.
Got it. Definitely got it. Create some fun videos and some activities to do that night. Now, let me ask you this. Being a small business, going into trying to hire guys before the season, of course, revenue kind of slows down.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a thing where we I kind of gauge how much I'm going to want to pay these guys next year, and I start putting away in a reserve now while we're having revenue, for example, for their first checks in the early spring when things haven't really kicked off yet.
Right. And you need a couple weeks before they are really even productive, or like before the grass starts growing. You should be training them and everything, right? So you're going to need to set aside some money to train them, pay them their first couple payroll before they're really even profitable for you necessarily. So you definitely gonna want to set aside. And as you grow, Dion, that doesn't necessarily change. Like, we set aside money now for the winter when we're a little bit slower. And it just grows the amount, right? Like, at the first, I was like, oh, as long as we have 10 grand set aside. Now it's like, we better have over 6 figures, or else we're not going to make it to the next spring, right? So it's not like that's always going to be there. And so yes, I'd be setting aside at least a few thousand so that when you do hire them, they have full-time work in training for the first week at least. You can get them on some cleanups. What I would do is, hey, run your cleanups. Try to get some cleanups lined up so that you can be with them and, see their work ethic and be with them a little bit more for that first week before you start mowing. And that comes down to being able to get in contact with all of your clients, whether it be, setting up a MailChimp or some sort of marketing device on email to email everyone. I don't know if you start, let's say, April 1st mowing, maybe it's March 1st, you send that email out and try to book the last 2 weeks of March out, so that way you can hire someone mid-March and know that you can work with them for a couple weeks before they need to be out mowing.
Okay. Got that down. Now let me ask you this, Mike. Because I've heard a couple of different things, and my latest experience is kind of leaning me toward the other side as far as when hiring employees.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke with, he was in another industry, but he's still in the service business. A little advanced, and he's telling me oftentimes we make the mistake of wanting to hire, we want to get out the field too quick, and we want to hire a bunch of field techs. When in doubt, one of the key positions we should hire early is a office assistant or admin assistant to help with the back office work and paperwork and all of that. And here lately, since I've gotten back in the field, I'm kind of starting to see some truth with that. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes if I don't get to it, the paperwork side, the scheduling side, the customer relations side, the responding to email side can kind of back up on me. Mm-hmm. So is that, in your professional opinion, since we're in the same industry, is, I was looking at possibly hiring a part-time assistant to start out.
Yep.
Only using her a few hours during the day, a few hours of the day. Is that something that you would recommend?
It all comes down to how much money the company is generating. Like, you have to remember, office and admin is 100% overhead. So you can hire crew members and you have to pay them payroll, but guess what? They make you money. If you hire someone to do admin, they don't make a single penny for the company. Obviously, you can say, oh, they can help, improve the business and sell to customers. Yes, that's true. But I mean, just from a very hourly standpoint, I would make sure you have at least 2 employees, at least 2 full-time employees. I'd be shooting for 3 before you hire someone to do that. Because right when you do that, your overhead's literally going to double. Because right now, you have a truck, you have some trailers. For overhead, you probably pay some for the shop. You have some equipment. Like that's a couple $1,000s a month of burn rate probably. If you hire someone, that will double. So yeah, I would suggest doing the part-time thing first, but it's like you said, trying to retain a good office member that's only part-time is going to be tough. Because the good ones go full-time. Yeah, go ahead.
I've kind of, when I started my search, I've kind of narrowed it down here, and I got lots of people who are interested, and most of them are, because most of my stuff is set up virtual, where my office can be wherever I'm at or wherever who's ever at.
Yeah.
Like our phone system can be an app downloaded on your phone.
Yeah.
Our software that we use Jobber.
Yeah.
Software and QuickBooks, and they both sync and interlock. So, and they're web-based. So wherever they are, they can, wherever you are, as long as you have internet access, you can use them. Okay. And so I've kind of got a list of, a few of them are stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
Just looking for, a couple hours of work to do a day, let's say while the kids are at school or something of that nature. And so that was the route that I was going to take. I didn't want them to be here so I could still, do some sit-down training with them. But if I was looking to go that route starting off, because like I said, like you said, if they want to go full-time eventually, if I did go the assistant route, it would probably be looking into hiring one of those, kind of stay-at-home moms or people who are just looking for a few hours of work.
Totally. Yeah, I'd be asking myself, when you're this small though, Dion, you want to be looking at every single opportunity to pinch every penny. Obviously, I'd rather see, you spending money to grow the business. I'd rather be on offense than defense. However, right now, if it's only a couple hours a day that you need them, ask yourself the question, is there any way you can get someone to mow a couple extra lawns and you do it yourself? Because if someone's working, I just know this from experience, if someone's working in the office for 2 hours, it's going to take you about 30 to 40 minutes a day of just managing them. Telling them what to do, telling them who to email. They're going to be asking you questions like, what should I say to so-and-so who had a complaint, or what should I say to so-and-so about their bill? And literally you're going to be doing, not even saving much time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No, that being said, I always would push someone to make that jump earlier than, you'd rather do that sooner than later. You'd rather see, but like I said, I wouldn't even think about it until you have 2 full-time employees. Because the business needs to be able, until then, work a little bit extra in the, another hour in the evening, whatever you got to do. You just want to keep your overhead down to an absolute minimum. So I don't know what your personal expenses are, but even those, keep them as basic as you can. Because every, $1,000 a month even is money. That's all the flyers you need to put on all the neighbors of your client's place, right? And that can double your business in a year. So literally, when you're this small, just a little trajectory can change massive amounts in your business within a year. And there's no way the business can grow without capital. As far as if you get super busy next year and you don't have $7-8 to get a new truck, that's a pain, right? You can't grow the business. So I'd be pinching every penny you can right now, and then obviously it'll allow you when an opportunity comes up. Because what if you get 3 really good guys at your job fair and they're all incredible? If I were you, I'd just hire them all and then figure out. But the thing is, you got to have the money to do it, right? Because if you can hire 3 instead of 2, and you're like, man, I just need 2. But if you got 3 all-stars, man, I'd just be like, okay, forget it. I can go all in. If you have the money, if you have $10,000 sitting there and you can float them as far as their payroll, and that gives you the opportunity to now get in the field. And then all of a sudden, because you're out you're out of the field as much, maybe half the time, you can go out, do estimates, do property needs analysis for your clients. You're getting all this new business. Now is a good time to get office staff.
Okay.
Yeah. When there's a moment where literally you'll know you cannot live without the office staff, and that's when you want to buy them. There literally will come a time where you're like, I cannot keep going without having someone to answer the phone, answer emails, and it'll come when like you get home and there's like 20 of them stacked up in your inbox. You got a bunch of voicemails, and at the same time you have a bunch of estimates you didn't get to, and your guys worked all three guys worked 10 hours and they didn't get all their work done. Now it's time to get an office staff member because the business is on a growth trajectory that will support the extra overhead. Like I didn't get any office staff until we were doing, let me think. We'd have been doing 45,000 in revenue each month. And so like, well, wait a second. No, take that back. It was like 35 in revenue before I got someone full-time in the office. So like it's possible to do it until like, I wouldn't wait as long as I did because I was working crazy hours. But like, I think you get to 20,000 and a few like 2 full-time employees before you have to get new office staff. And this is another thing, Dion, is instead of when you increase the customer count, you increase office administrative costs because of all the billing, customer complaints, contact, like all that stuff, right? That's another reason why you should double down on taking your 84 clients and trying to squeeze more dollars out of them, because it doesn't increase the amount of addresses you got to go to. It doesn't increase the amount of contacts that your admin person would have to be calling or setting up for billing and invoicing and estimate. Like it's so much better when you get that number up higher per client revenue on that front as well. Because 300 clients. Maintenance clients is going to keep someone busy full time just in customer satisfaction, right? So if you can keep that down to 150, but charge them twice as much, your profit margin is going to be like greatly affected there.
Got it. I understand what you're saying. Got it. Just kind of taking something down. I noticed you also, and that's all great stuff, and I got it written down here in my notes. Excuse me. I noticed you also spoke briefly, I listened to one podcast where you talked about systems, having systems in place. Can you expand on that a little bit? Now, I was looking into possibly, like a procedures manual. Is that meaning having a procedures manual or just having procedures listed out on paper or policy, employee handbook or?
Yeah. First of all, I can only be on about 5 more minutes. I have another call, but yeah. So like, have you ever listened to a book called The E-Myth?
By Michael Gerber?
Yes.
Yeah, I've read that entire book. I've done the organizational chart.
Yeah.
Some other things.
Okay. That's a good place to start. But one thing you like, what part is it? I forget the exact name of what he uses it, but essentially it's the part where you really need to describe everything to do with landscaping. Like it's like he's very 30,000 foot level, like, cause he's kind of trying to encompass all businesses. What you need to do as a landscaper is take that and say, okay, what do I really need to focus on? And a big part of that is like, literally this is what, when it comes to the systems part, ask yourself every single minute of every single day, like, how would I explain this to somebody else? And so what I did is last winter, I just created videos during the winter when it was a little bit slower of like everything I did. I made my office manager do the same thing. So she created videos of how to create an estimate, how to set up deliveries, how to set up like customer, how to deal with customer complaints, like step by step. And they did like screencast videos for the software of how to set things up, like new clients and all of that stuff. And the reason to do that is literally just as much for you as it would be for someone that would buy your business or for an employee. It's just as much for you to have the confidence that you have a system in place that you can fall back on and that things are being done consistently. Because if you don't have the consistency, you can't scale. If you don't have a system for how the phone should be answered and an estimate inputted or an appointment created, if you can't do that with 5 and 6 calls a day, you're not going to be able to do it with 100 or 200 a day. So having those systems in place is overkill when you're your size, but imperative when you're your size. Because if you don't do it now, when you double the size of your company and just in revenue, it'll start falling apart. So like right now, you're not going to see holes. You're not going to see negatives of not having systems, procedures, and all of those things like mapped out videos. I would focus like she talks a lot about writing stuff down. I like video just because that's what I like. So I did more of like we have a video tutorials for like different employees and things like that. Like whether it be our office staff or people out in the field that they got to watch their first day or two of employment, but then also just in general, like you as the owner, it's good just to, to make a video of how you shake people's hands and what's the process of knocking on the door, giving them a business card, and what's those first few words to get them starting to walk around their guard, right? Like those are things that you can create systems around. Number one, so if you ever sold the company or if you ever got hurt and someone needed to take over a certain position in the business, like doing estimates, that's one thing. The other part of it is confidence that you know what you're doing and that it's going to be the same every single time, and then you're not flying by the seat of your pants. And the biggest system that you got to figure out is your pricing system, and knowing exactly, nailing down, like that's the biggest thing for a landscaper right now when you're your size, because you can't afford to be losing money on jobs, and you need to be making sure that you squeeze the dollars out, and you want that consistent profit margin and not make some times and then make a bunch other times and make nothing other times. So pricing system, I think, is your number one thing I'd be focused on if I was you. And then behind that, kind of more of a procedures manual, and then documenting everything you do, whether it be in video or written word.
Okay. I know you got to go. I just got two more very important questions. First one is going to be as far as the what us being in the small phase, do you have any suggestions for the smaller entrepreneur, for example, who may not be able or credit-wise may not be in position to go get traditional loans to kind of get some of that equipment or stuff? So if we're in a position where we have to, for lack of better words, bootstrap it, what are some suggestions or methods that you would suggest we use to get the things that we need to grow?
I'd be focusing on the things that don't need equipment. And what's beautiful about this industry is the things that make the most money require the least amount of equipment, up until like you hit skid steers and excavators. But until that point, mowing is great, but you need equipment, you need trailers, trucks. You can have a rake, a wheelbarrow, a blower, and some shears and make thousands of dollars a month by raking out mulch, trimming trees, and blowing things off. Literally. So what I'd be doing is the exact same thing I said right from the get-go is number one, and that is trying to up the revenue on each of your clients. Like I would be looking to rake out mulch. I'd be looking to trim trees. And if you have 84 clients, which is really good, I'd be looking to see if you can rent a machine for an entire day and knock out a whole bunch of people. Like if it starts, I don't know how much it snows there, but like it might be worth renting a snowblower for a day if you can make $500. It might be worth renting a core aerator machine for $50-$60 a day and go out and make $500. It might be worth renting a chainsaw and lining up all the clients that have decent sized trees that need to come down, or hazardous trees, or it might be worth renting some other piece of machinery if you can get the jobs lined up. And so what I'd be focusing on though is what services can you do for the least amount of equipment and manpower, and a lot of that's going to come down to a rake, a shovel, a blower, and like some loppers and some shears.
That's good. Okay, I never really thought about that point, that the things that make the most money require the least, It's funny because I just got some mulching requests, and that doesn't require hardly anything to remulch.
Yeah.
I'll definitely get on that in that property needs analysis. Very last question, and then I can let you go here. When dealing with finance and bookkeeping, I also wanted to throw in there, as far as the finance part of, how often do you review your numbers? Is it a smart thing to work? If I think I found an affordable financial service that I actually know the young lady who owns the company.
Mhm.
Is it feasible to have them do my bookkeeping and have everything in order for taxes?
Mhm.
And do you review those reports yourself? And how often do you review them? And then lastly, what percentage as an owner should I pay myself? And then I promise I'll let you go. I
It's
got
all
a
good.
full sheet here, but
You're
I know
good.
you got to go.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm gonna go different on you and say don't outsource your bookkeeping. Keep it in house. Um, what you don't see isn't gonna get managed well. They have no interest in making sure that you're super profitable, even if they're great people and they love you and all that. Doesn't matter. You need to know your numbers, and the best way to do that is you stay in the bookkeeping. Like to this day, like we will never outsource our bookkeeping. I want to know the numbers. I want to know exactly how much my guys make. I can name every single employee I have right now and exactly what their hourly rate is. I could tell you right now exactly the jobs that the 5 or 6 crews did and how much we made on them, what our net, what our like your numbers because you're involved in them. If you outsource your numbers, it's the worst thing you could do. Like, don't outsource your bookkeeping. Keep it in house because you got to know if you're losing money on Bob Jones mowing job every single month. You got to know if you're killing it on mulching every single month, and that's where all your profits coming from. Like, if you don't do that yourself, you say, "Well, I could just get a report." Well, yes, you can, but at this size in your business, you need to know every single number. Like that, yeah, like I look at my numbers every single day. Like I don't input our expenses. I don't do any invoicing. I don't do any of that. I'm not in our software system for financial at all. I check it every single day, and I know the numbers from a 30,000 foot level very, very well. And I know, down to individual clients if we're losing money, especially, and I keep an eye on that like crazy. I would highly, highly recommend not outsourcing bookkeeping. The reason people want to do it is because no one likes bookkeeping. It's not fun. Keeping track of numbers is not fun, and it's the things that you do at like 2 a.m, and that's when you're regretting it. But like, it's the one thing you got to do, especially when you're a young company, to know every single moment of every single day when you're making money, what's making you money, where you're losing money, where the holes are at, where you can increase efficiency, where like how you can become better. Like the last thing, like this is funny because I've never actually had this question about outsourcing. Outsourcing your bookkeeping, I would never ever do that as a small business owner, let alone a landscaping company that needs to be watching basically every minute, every hour as you're on the job.
Okay, got it. Now we have a consultation set up because she teaches.
Yeah.
So the first thing I haven't made a decision to do it yet, but the first thing we're going to do, because she's a guru in QuickBooks, so what we're going to do is she's going to sit down and teach me how to properly do it, how to properly input, how to properly review reports, what I need to be looking at. So
yeah, and that's great, and I'd be trying to extract as much value as you can out of that. But you can't afford the overhead. You can't afford the time to manage them because they're gonna have to know, where do they put certain type of where do they categorize certain expenses and things like that. And then you can't afford what's the kind of like the unforeseen expense, and that is not knowing your numbers down to the penny. And another thing is, even the advice they're going to give to you, take it. Like if she's just going to teach you and stuff, that's great. Keep in mind everything's on YouTube. Right. So don't pay for that. And don't get suckered into like literally. It's funny because it's never come up, but literally, I'd say the worst thing you could do when you're this small of a company is to let go of any sort of numbers. Like you got to know them.
Okay, got it there. And then just, as sometimes we get guilty as the owner, as far as taking our cut. I haven't really taken a salary.
Yeah.
I plan to next year.
Yeah.
These first 2 years, I've just kind of let it go back all in. But how do you kind of gauge as the owner when you're talking about wanting to bring in employees and once your revenue gets to a certain point, how do you kind of gauge what percentage or what your salary is going to be?
Yeah, so I determined basically how fast I want the company to grow, and just realize that the more I take out of the company, the less accelerated growth it can have. So I actually I halved my salary from last year to this year because I knew I wanted to expand really, really fast again. Because I kind of the first 2 years didn't take anything out. I was putting everything back in, just kind of getting by. The last year I was like, okay, I was making six figures, taking home six figures, and this year I was like, you know what, I'm gonna half that. And I'm going to go all in growth. And I actually gave money back to the company out of my salary this past year. Because like I said, we're having a location. We're going to be franchising, like all that stuff. So the company needs money. So it doesn't come down to how much money is right for you to take out. It's how fast you want the business to grow. And when it becomes to a level where you feel comfortable, where you want it to be, and that doesn't mean it needs to be $1 billion. When it gets to the point where you want it to be, that's when I would start taking money out. And then you just realize that when you do that, your growth is going to start to plateau because you're not going to be buying more equipment. You're not going to be getting more people and getting trucks and things like that. And then that being said, you'd just be raising your prices, which will increase your net profit. And so it's a very happy time when you get to the place where you're like, where your growth is stable, because that's when you can increase prices instead of going after new work all the time. And then that will also plateau your growth to where then you can start taking money out of the business. But like, that's the question. I'd just be asking yourself is like, okay, if you want to go from $8,000 a month to $30,000 a month next year, yeah, you're probably going to be putting every penny back in the business. Because next spring is going to require, employees and training them and logoing your trucks and getting the right insurance, like all that stuff, getting equipment. And then if you're like, you know what, next year I could do maybe 15 grand. And then the year after that, I could do 25 or 20 a month. And you go slower, you could take some money out. If you want to get to 100 grand a month, like we did, like within 36 months, it's basically put every single penny back into the business. But you don't have to be that way, right? So like, I'd ask yourself.
Can you just repeat that for me one more time about the 36 months?
So from the time I started Augusta to when we were making 100,000 in revenue was 36 months. And so that's really fast growth. However, during that time, I basically was just putting the money all back into the business.
Wow. Well, I have about 15 more questions, but in the meantime, I'll go ahead. I've decided upon further review. I know I emailed you on some things. I'm just going to go ahead and purchase the course.
Yeah. Yeah, like I think it would probably answer a lot of the questions. Like at the very least, I'd give Lawn Pro a shot too as far as software. I really do got to go here in about 2 seconds, but I'd give Lawn Pro a shot if you do buy the course. What's going to help you, Dion, is number one, like in there, I share a lot of like exactly where we're at along those 36 months. I essentially walk you through what I did those first 36 months. And exactly step by step, and you'll see all the inside of our business, what everything looks like, and then you can just copycat it. I give you I give you our employee contracts and you get to see all of our employee training stuff. So like, it's basically everything I wanted when I was in your shoes, or right before I started. So I'd give it a shot. Like I said, like I don't make much off it, so I don't really care. But I do think it would be of value to you, especially if you have 15 more questions. It'd probably help you a lot. So.
I'm going to go ahead. I have to go ahead and look up Line Pro. It's funny because I actually did use Patrick and Line Pro software when I first started. And it kind of got outdated, and that's why I ended up switching to Jobber.
Yep. Yeah, they've made some good changes about 2 years ago. When I first started, it was pretty outdated. They made some really good changes, and so that's like essentially I could have gone with something more expensive, but in the course we use Lawn Pro quite a bit as far as how to set up, recurring invoicing, all that sort of stuff. At least it'll give you a really good baseline of how you can set up Jobber, because I've used Jobber before as well. And it'll at least give you a baseline of some of the tools that you could use from Lawn Pro, and then just integrate them with Jobber, like how to do certain things. But yeah, I'd give it a shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will definitely get into that. I'll go ahead and take